Today on the Topping Show, Donald Trump changes Biden's portrait in the White House to the autopen. Kamala Harris insinuates that she did not pick Pete Buttigieg for her VP because he is gay. Toyota says that we need to appreciate hybrid sports cars. Liberal pregnant women take Tylenol to spite Trump and RFK Jr. after they note some studies that note a correlation to autism. A woman with a t-shirt that says "Be kind" decapitates a Donald Trump Pinata. And Ford has yet another recall because, whoops, the trucks might just not steer. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see your founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me to see that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapter, so it can mount to any standard AR-15 like all accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends and your enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Toyota saying that we should appreciate hybrid sports cars, which apparently was not a joke. This is credited to Motor1.com. And here you can see the new LFA, successor, the LFR, I think they're calling it. And they say, again, this credit to Motor1.com, specifically Adrian, who's right there. And they say, quote, Toyota claims people need time to appreciate hybrid sports cars. Oh, how do I say this? Appreciate hybrid sports cars. Well, I know. Classic, but how about no? Perhaps that's the worst impression you hear all year. Let's correlate that to the real thing.
How about no?
Not my worst impression, but yeah, it's a thing where hybrid sports cars, mostly trash past 20, 30 years. It has been tried before, and I think it'll take many, many years for that concept to actually take off for a myriad of reasons. So that Toyota on the screen does kind of look cool, and I appreciate the feedback in the comments. I actually need to work on moving the main content to the main monitor in front of me. Well, my buddies in comments actually let me know it looks awkward when I'm looking at the other screen. I have a 3-screen setup, so I got the screen where I actually can see the video of myself. Then I have the content, then I have the titles of each segment of the show. So I always have to flip that over after I read the intro. And again, the feedback makes the show better and better. And again, that Lexus, it looks pretty cool. Be a lot better as a V10 with stick shift, but I partially digress. Going into the comment section, they say, quote, if you haven't checked out our latest episode of Concept We Forgot series, we focused on Toyota's obscure GRMM Sports Hybrid Concept 2. Developed over a decade ago, it was a mid-engine attempt to create a fun, electrified vehicle. However, it never materialized into a production model. The same thing could be said about the 2017 GRHV Sport, a hybrid 86 with a Targa top. Ugh. A hybrid 86 is the dumbest thing I've heard of in decades, which is saying something. The Toyota 86, also known as a Subaru BRZ, same thing, different piece of plastic around the vehicle, but same, actual vehicle, same production facility. I mean, that car is fun because it's lightweight, pretty easy to work on. Well, not great liability because, again, Subaru engine, but it's a fun track toy. Hybrids are not. Now, they say, quote, despite testing hybrids in race conditions, Toyota's reluctance to launch a sports car with electrified powertrain continues to this day. That said, it won't be long before its luxury brand Lexus pulls the wraps off what reports to be dubbed the LFR, widely believed to feature electrified setup centered around a V8, which, again, if I had copious amounts of money to buy fun sports cars, I would never buy that. So you have the original LFA, which sounded like a symphony thanks to the Yamaha engineering, and a nice V10, very disappointing, transmission, obviously, automatic, but it looked and sounded amazing. 10 cylinders of glory, like a Dodge Viper. And yet, this one, so now you're losing 2 cylinders, apparently, and it'll be a hybrid, which, have fun maintaining those batteries years from now. Now, let's say, quote, upon the big debut, the company is already teasing how hybrids could appeal to enthusiasts. In an interview with Australia's Drive magazine, a higher-up from the local division didn't exclude the possibility of a sports car that combines a gas engine with electrified motor. Whereas Australia's vice president for sales and marketing, Sean Hanley, said, quote, we're doing hybrids now in different racing conditions globally, so you'd never rule that out, unquote. While technically possible to develop a hybrid performance vehicle for the streets, Toyota believes it'll take time for enthusiasts to warm up to the idea. In the meantime, pure gas-fueled cars still scratch the itch, which, and again, this Lexus looks really cool. And they say beyond the Lexus LFR, Toyota will likely offer hybrid models for the GR lineup in the future, which, if you're like a fan of GM or General Motors, it's like their highest trim level, like the Camaro when they used to make the Camaro. Yeah, the SS is the top, V8 sports trim. And they say also it would be extremely difficult to engineer an ICE-only vehicle to comply, especially with the totalitarian evil government of the UK and the United Nations, as well as, well, the European Union. Okay, I added that last part, but they note how it's getting harder and harder to make, gas-only vehicles because of global regulations, and in some places even having bans in the future. Now, a hybrid sports car has been tried many times before, I think most famously by Honda. Years ago, they had the CRX, and I believe it was the CRX or the CRZ. It was a very forgettable vehicle. It looked, okay, a little bit smaller, more compact than the Honda Civic, and it was a hybrid. Interestingly enough, and very uniquely enough, they actually had a stick shift option. Pretty cool. But again, the Achilles heel with a lot of these hybrids, the battery technologies. You're seeing this with some sports car companies that are trying to do this, and there are some in production. McLaren's, which, if you have copious amounts of money, McLaren will cure that instantly because not only do they depreciate like a Mercedes, but they're as reliable as a Ford vehicle, which is saying something. McLaren P1, their top McLaren, which obviously boring, automatic. It's a thing where those batteries cost 6 figures, and I always tell people it's like a smartphone. Have fun trying to find the subcontractor who made that battery all those years ago. And let's say, perfect ideal situation, McLaren and these car companies choose to somehow support these vehicles in the future like that. How much money is that going to cost? I believe it was a McLaren P1 where one of the forums was saying a new battery is like $250,000 for a battery. So again, there's some hybrid sporty cars out there, sports cars out there, but the enthusiast community, for the most part, really doesn't appreciate them. You can't work on them. They're like a smartphone on wheels because, again, you got all the technology being forced in there, and it's just become more and more computerized. Which, again, some of that is just with time, more technology. I mean, car guys like simple, fun things are easy to work on, that are ideally more reliable than a hybrid. And I can't help but feel cheated if I were to buy that Lexus that you see on the screen, because again, you're getting less cylinders, you're getting a hybrid, and the odds they'll have manual transmission is probably little to none. And again, there's a market for that out there, but I don't think that market is as large enough to sustain all these ideas. So I think Toyota's right in terms of, it's going to take many years, but I think they're underestimating how long it will take. And I mean, I'm one of those folks who I'll never buy hybrid. Knock on wood. I love gas-powered vehicles with three pedals, also known as a stick shift. They could work on for decades, like a traditional, gas engine from Toyota or Honda. Those things are darn near bulletproof. But I mean, I just think there's just going to be so little interest for these types of vehicles. It won't go far. And I suspect and hope that these car companies actually grow a spine, maybe get involved in politics to push against these evil governments that are saying you can't make fun vehicles. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have liberal pregnant women taking Tylenol to spite Donald Trump and RFK Jr. Now, again, the U.S. government via Donald Trump Jr. and RFK Jr. Donald Trump as well as RFK Jr. They've noted some studies that have found a correlation between autism and taking Tylenol when you're pregnant. Again, there's some studies. Ask your doctor. Yada yada yada. Oh wait, it's already taken off YouTube to protect Big Pharma. I'm only partially kidding, but that has happened many times before. And this is really to the point where I think if Trump were to say, I hate air, liberals would stop breathing. If Trump were to say something to the kin of, I love this great, glorious, great filtered air, so clean, so desirable, this air is lovely, it tastes like America. If you were to say that, I can't but think there'd be a booming industry of liberals importing air from like India and China with copious amounts of pesticides and chemicals in them. Or just stop breathing altogether. Now, this specifically was posted by Olivia on X, and she simply says, these people are crazy. Which, yeah, now you have a liberal pregnant gal standing there, and let's see what she does.
28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm going to take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's going to work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
I'm actually shocked that she doesn't have a cowering because, most leftists have those. And her hair is actually not short blue or pink, so it's very unusual. But yeah, it's an instance where Tylenol themselves tweeted in, I believe, 2017, saying we don't recommend you taking this when you're pregnant. That's straight from the manufacturer. And yet, this is trending on social media, and they're all just guzzling up Tylenol. Some of them taking more than the prescribed amount or more than, the standard dosage. This is pure insanity. And again, it's not a thing where 100% of the time it will cause it. This is some studies showing that it may. And yet, they're saying, oh yeah, I'll take all the Tylenol. What? First of all, Tylenol is overrated. Just suck it out. Just tough it out a little bit. And I can't, for average, pregnant gal these days, I can't imagine the stress of trying to choose what do you eat, what do you consume, when there's so many bad things out there in the food supply. I mean, that's got to be stressful in and of itself. I can't but think, I don't know, this might be a good business model. You have like a pregnant retreat where you just go off and live with the Amish for 9 months. Where again, they don't have crap in their food, or they're taking copious amounts of pharmaceuticals that have questionable side effects. I mean, the Amish are pretty damn strong. They can build a house in like a day. I can't but think it might be a viable business idea. I'm only partially kidding. And this went pretty viral. Got 4.2 million views and 30,000 likes. With one of the first comments coming to us thanks to Luke Grukowski, who says, "What a dumb bitch." Getting 205 likes, which, yeah, that checks out. Again, she doesn't even look like she's in pain. She's just taking Tylenol just for spite. Again, it's not like they're taking this product off the market. You can go to wherever you want, Walmart, Target, you can buy it. And yet, they're almost, it seems like liberals do anything just for spite. Which, as a juvenile reaction, I think every one of us has done something for, out of spite or just be a little cheeky. Usually not something that's not, could potentially be hazardous to us and our children. You also have Owen Schroever saying, quote, "This is actually intentional child endangerment," getting 2.5 thousand likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, "Insane. I can only imagine the type of mom she will be," getting 2,000 likes as well. Oh, a perfect metaphor. Truthy McTruthface as a meme, or as I call them, memes. You have Trump saying, Donald Trump saying, "Don't drink your piss," and below the meme is a gal drinking yellow water, and it's labeled liberals, getting 7,000 likes, which, yeah. Matt says, "Same energy." It's a meme that says Donald Trump cures cancer. And all the leftists are saying curing cancer is racist. We have the right to die from cancer, getting 4.4 thousand likes. Here we go. Honest opinion. Trump, "I'm pro-oxygen, sweet, beautiful oxygen." And the liberals put a grocery bag over their head, getting 3.1 thousand likes. Michael Severio says, quote, "Few years later," is a pregnant gal saying, "This won't hurt my baby." Says 23 years later, you have Henry Simpson getting 1.7 thousand likes, which, let's see. XC Carillo as a painting, it says, "When you're dead, you don't know you're dead. The pain is felt by others. Same thing happens when you're stupid," getting 2,000 likes. Dean Dreamcatcher says, "If liberals could only read," is a tweet from March 7, 2017 from Tylenol saying, quote, "We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking time to voice your concerns today." You got 455 likes, and Tylenol actually got 8.4 thousand likes. Let's see. Virtual Mirth has the Anakin Skywalker and Padme meme. Meme. And Anakin goes, "My mom took Tylenol while pregnant." And, Padme says, "Because she's had a headache, right?" Right? And 1.8 thousand likes. And yet, they're taking Tylenol like there's no tomorrow. Andy Hatfield has a meme of Elmo where he's looking at a pile of Tylenol and says, "The left when Trump expresses concerns about Tylenol," and he puts his face in it like it's Coke, getting 552 likes. And some of them are referencing some of these studies, saying the side effects or what could potentially happen. And yeah, they literally are taking Tylenol just despite Trump. It's fascinating, but I guess at this point, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, are you? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a woman with a t-shirt saying, "Be kind," decapitating a Trump Pinata. Well, of course, because there's nothing more hypocritical than a leftist. Now, this Bartos thinks you end wokeness, and he says, quote, "An old woman wearing a Be Kind t-shirt tries to decapitate a Trump effigy." And here you can see I don't want to, I mean, you probably already knew, but yeah, old white gal. And looks like she's got a little pinata bat.
Trump, escucha. Trump, escucha. Trump, escucha.
Smell the wine and catfish through the video. Hit it with that little newspaper bat.
Escucha, estamos en la lucha.
Yeah. Insanity, but to be expected. And yeah, you look at the t-shirt, it says, be kind. Then another cliche phrase says, oh yeah, so the front says, make America kind again on your t-shirt. And the back says, do unto others as you would do unto them. Age-old Bible phrase, getting 6,000 likes, as and Wokeness actually noted that, which, yeah, I mean, pure hypocrisy. Literally has a shirt that says, make America kind, and she responds with violence, which, yeah, that is, culturally the left in 2025. I'm actually surprised she didn't shoot the Trump eulogy, because, that's kind of their MO. I don't know, something about these bitter gals. Grandma's pissed. And one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, typical batshit crazy liberal white woman, getting 3.5 thousand likes. Base Electrician, great to see him in the comments a while. He says, the face when the demon takes full possession. And you have a close-up of her face, which some would say looks debatably more viscerally disgusting than my own, which, saying something, got 578 likes. X Van Fleet, a famous individual who escaped communism in China, he says, quote, there's only a short step from this to mass violence in China's Cultural Revolution, who claimed 20 million lives, getting 803 likes. Yep. A lot of correlations. The conservative alternative says, quote, the louder they screech, the more we win. And it says, never interrupt your enemy when they are making a mistake. It got 374 likes. Planet of Memes, a little disappointing, no meme made today, says, you can't make up this level of irony, getting 233 likes. Yeah, Santa Clara says, quote, yep, we're not unifying with this, getting 527 likes. Tara Bull says, oh, I thought it stood for Make America Karens Again, getting 278 likes. Amelia Henderson says, quote, damn, liberal claim words are violence, so when they commit real violence, they can claim it is in self-defense, getting 64 likes. Yep. The Texas one says, quote, why are they so ugly inside and then the outside, getting 200 likes, which, fair question. Again, I don't have much ground to stand on. Paul Zazupa says, quote, this isn't healthy behavior, getting 275 likes, which, yeah. I mean, it's also something you don't see really with people politically speaking or culturally speaking on the right. I mean, people made fun of Biden all the time. Lord knows there's a lot of material to work with. But you didn't see people getting violent like this at any Trump rallies or MAGA rallies. They didn't have pinatas of Biden beating the crap out of him. It's a very interesting cultural phenomenon we're seeing on the left, seemingly exclusively. Again, if you have examples, let me know in the comments. I'll evaluate any data you have. But yeah, I mean, people made fun of Biden for being, stupid or forgetful, stuttering, which, again, I don't have any ground to stand on when it comes to critiquing stuttering, obviously, case in point. But yeah, you didn't see that type of visceral violence. Plus, it's hilarious. Bob has a meme of looks like a caricature from the 1950s. It says, quote, hey, the coexist people are burning shit again, getting 747 likes. Yep. I guarantee that bumper sticker is on her Kia. Not that there's anything wrong with the Kia. Let's see. We also have The Immortal saying their hero is George Floyd. It says, career criminal, dead from a drug overdose. 30 people killed, 2,000 people injured, 10,000 riots and protests, 140 cities burned and affected. Also about $2 billion in property damage. And you have our hero, Charlie Kirk, says, man of God, dead for speaking the truth. 0 people killed, 0 people injured, 0 riots and protests, 0 cities burned and affected. Yep, gained 1.9 thousand likes. Got a couple people who are highlighting the t-shirt that she's wearing. 3.7 thousand likes, which, yeah, the irony is hilarious. Let's see. I also have The Immortal having the famous meme from Jaws. The guy that goes, we're going to need a bigger, well, instead of boat, it says mental institution. That has all the lefties highlighted, getting 1,000 likes. And again, we'll see if, I hope this type of public violence stops. Savannah Insights also says the complete insanity of it all. Old white women spending their last years on Earth with a cult of social misfits beating up a pinata of Trump while pretending to be kind. You can't make this shit up. In 1.5 thousand likes, which, yeah, I mean, we only have so many seconds on this planet. and she's spending hours angry, hitting a pinata. Which is a kind of pathetic game. 1.5 thousand likes. So hopefully this types of, we see less of this in the world and people wake up and get some sanity. I'm pretty pessimistic. I don't think it will. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part podcast of Kamala Harris saying she chose to actually not choose Pete Buttigieg for her vice president because he's gay. Or she insinuates it. Now, this brought to us thanks to Andy No, one of the best reporters out there. And he says, quote, Kamala Harris tells Rachel Maddow she didn't want a gay man as a running mate because it would be political baggage. I wonder how many of the gays who endorsed her feel now.
Did President...
I'm sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer on the screen. You're going to see Rachel Maddow, which... Or wait a minute, is that Michael Knowles? Maybe.
To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that...
Always those same football-sized earrings on her dumb head. Which, again, a couple people did do some sleuthing on the internet, and there's some technology, with Bluetooth and everything, that allows you to hear things with earrings. I'm just saying you've never seen her without these comically stupid large earrings in public for a couple of years.
I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for President of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump, who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for President of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
So she admits he would be a risk.
Matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time. And the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant.
He's not.
And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was.
Yes, friends.
But that's the decision I made, and I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Will you consider running in 2028?
That's not my focus right now.
I know
that's not my focus.
Oh. Yeah. Now, Pete Buttigieg, that'd be a good question for the comments. Who's more of a moron or more incompetent? Tim Walz or Pete Buttigieg? That is a coin flip, maybe? Personally, I think Americans would be turned off by Pete because he's an incompetent moron. He's so useless in terms of his government service. He went 6 months without going to the office or working, and no one realized he was gone. He's also a weirdo who took delivery of his surrogate child in a bed as if he gave birth, and put on one of those weird things to chest feed the child. He is weird. But he's also an incompetent moron. He famously bragged saying he got the job for transportation because he likes choo-choo trains, which are words I don't think any adult would say unless they're with a child in terms of describing a train. And then when the train derailment came, how many days did it take for him to visit it? For Palestine? How long did it take for him to do anything? Trump got there before anyone. But Pete Buttigieg, again, I think most people would laugh at him derisively because he is the definition of a useless bureaucrat. He's out of the office for 6 months, still getting paid. No one realized he was gone? In the private sector, that is comically ridiculous. And the Democrat Party, in terms of people who are Democrat, I think he probably would have got the same amount of Democrat votes versus Tim Walz, who, I was going to say, Tampon Tim and his visits to China, lying about his service. I mean, letting Minnesota go to hell, being a conquered state where they actually changed the state flag because it's become so conquered. In terms of Democrats voting, I think he probably got the same, if not more, if she had Pete Buttigieg. Now that I think about it. I mean, they're both terrible, awful picks. They had some perspective, folks they could have picked. They're actually competent. There are a couple people on Democrat in the party that could have been, good running mates. But no, they didn't pick anyone intelligent or competent. And they just installed Kamala Harris. No one actually voted for her. And yeah, this is going pretty viral. And again, this credited to Andy No, getting about 250,000 views and 17,000 likes. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Mrs. B. It says, levels of pain, slap, childbirth, kicked in the balls, and listening to Kamala Harris being the highest, getting 265 likes. Rock and Roll Meltdown has a meme of Chris Farley and Kamala Harris. Says, remember when you had to drop out of the 2020 race because no one was voting for you? Yeah, that was awesome. Getting 25 likes. Yep. Stop Seattle Democrats 2025 says, quote, wait, what? Instead of the sound of music, it's been photoshopped to say the sound of bullshit. It's Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and he's wearing heels. Allegedly photoshopped. I don't know, that might be real. They got 78 likes, which, again, Tim Walz is so unappealing. I mean, yeah, it's almost as if they purposely chose the worst possible candidates. You have Alex Hernandez saying, quote, but she did get a gay man as a running mate anyway. There's a Photoshop box of tampons, and it says Tampon Tim on it. Getting 181 likes, which, yeah, imagine being famous for your passion project just to make sure there are tampons in the boys' rooms. And boys are allowed to go in girls' rooms and vice versa. That's Tampon Tim's passion projects or things he's very proud of. Arya Haram has a Steven Crowder meme where he's changed my mind. It says Tim Walz is more gay than Pete Buttigieg, getting 11 likes, which, debatable. You also have For America says she mirrors her mentor. You have a quote from Hillary Clinton in 2005, and she says, quote, look, the average Democrat voter is just plain stupid. They're so easy to manipulate. That's the easy part. And that was Hillary Clinton has told to Dick Morris in Rewriting History 2005, which I guess I should clarify. Hillary Clinton is a very beautiful, intelligent woman. She's not had a disproportionate amount of people around her commit suicide, like 28 plus people. And I don't own any rope, and I plan to live a long, healthy life. I just, coincidentally, want to throw that out there, just for the record. You also have James Russell saying, Scarecrow, Cowardly Lion, Tin Man, and No Wizard getting 10 likes. There's a picture of Kamala Harris there. A lot of people making fun of her being allegedly inebriated in the public, where she's drunk with alcohol. A little meme with Absolute Vodka on there, getting 77 likes. The Truth Seeker says, a breakdown of how the Democrat Party died. You have Barack Obama saying, I need a VP dumber than me. They have Biden saying, I need a VP dumber than me. And have Kamala Harris saying, I need a VP dumber than me. And Tampon Tim that says, boys need tampons, getting 8 likes, which, what's more awkward, his ideology around tampons and boys' rooms, or his hilarious bluff, or was it buffoonery, during the vice president debate when Tim Walz said famously, I make friends with school shooters, which, unusual thing to say. Let's see. Freedom Liberty says, quote, I think Pothole Pete must be drowning in his sorrows right now at Chippendales, getting 9 likes. Mr. Average has a picture of Rachel Maddow in the boys' room, getting 17 likes. Oh, here we go. That's a creepy picture of Pete Buttigieg. This is apparently tweeted by Pope Leonidas the 14th, and he says, quote, she failed again to read the room. There's a picture of Pete Buttigieg with what do you call it, stupid things, a fake breast attached to him, feeding a child, and it says average Democrat, and that picture is juxtapositioned with a picture that says average Republican. You have a guy, with obviously the cowboy hat, kissing his wife and having a baby. Getting 32 likes, which, yeah, that sounds about right. Kitty Graham says, and Rachel sits there taking it like a coward, getting 83 likes. Yeah, I mean, they're on the same team. I'm not surprised she's not actually pushing the question further. Ron also says, so she picked a closeted gay guy instead of an openly gay guy. Genius, getting 94 likes. Which again, in terms of all the people you could pick as your running mate, Tim Walz is one of the worst ones. It wasn't even a swing state. That was the weirdest thing. That was like, because of conspiracies and wondering, like, did they purposely have Kamala Harris fail? That's where I almost wonder, like, she picked a loser of a candidate, or some would say, Kamala Harris is so stupid, she actually found someone dumber than her for the VP. I was shocked. She chose Tampon Tim Walz with no balls. I don't think Trump said that precisely, but something to that effect. Again, she shows a non-swing state VP, and she chose someone that had barely an appeal. You also have, here's a larger picture. Longville Ragatoli says, I know this is fake, but can you imagine the implications? There's Pete Buttigieg sitting there. Now, is that fake? I need to double check that. I mean, they did have the real picture of Pete Buttigieg and his husband holding a child while sitting in a hospital bed, insinuating they gave birth, weirdly. But let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Donald Trump changing Biden's portrait to be the autopen, which many would say is more accurate. This brought to us thanks to Nick Sorter. He says, quote, LMFAO, President Trump just unveiled the presidential wall frame at the White House, and Joe Biden's portrait is an autopen, which, accurate. You have all the former presidents. There you go. Latest ones, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump in office first time. And literally, the close-up is a picture of an autopen, then Trump in office the second time. Yeah. Real question is, when will we ever find out who is actually operating the autopen, as Joe Biden was, well, barely alive? I can't help but think we'll never actually know, but I'd be curious. Now, this went pretty viral. Got 4.2 million views and 97,000 likes. Or could I be the one that make it sit at 98,000? No, but I still liked it nevertheless. Which, yeah, in terms of historical accuracy, that looks about right. Again, Biden actually took a majority of days off for vacations. People make fun of Trump for taking meetings on the golf course, which again, that's one of those things where a lot of business deals are actually done on the golf course, not just a cliche. It does happen. But yeah, Biden was at the beach a lot of the time. And then he actually had a lot of things signed with autopen when he was out of the country or out of the office or on vacation. Which, yeah, who was operating that again? Now, going to the comments, one of the first ones is Lauren Boebert saying, we don't deserve him, getting 478 likes. Nick Soar says there'll never be another Donald Trump, getting 300 likes. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, Trump really is the GOAT, getting 342 likes. American Pop Bear says, quote, I want reparations from every single dumbass who voted for Biden, getting 465 likes. I mean, can't but think, how many of those mail-in ballots were really people? Or not? Rob says, it would have been awesome to see this one. It's a famous picture of Biden at a rally where he put the Trump hat on, getting 1.6 thousand likes, which, again, in terms of politics, I thought that was one of those hilarious, smart things Biden could have done, or he did do when he was attempting to run for re-election. Because it was funny, cheeky, kind of leaning into the meme, and that was hilarious. And again, people appreciate comedy. I think people appreciate when people can take a joke about themselves. And that was an instance where someone gave Biden a hat to sign. It was the Trump hat, and he just put it on. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a brilliant political move, actually. More humanizes himself. It shows, he could take a joke. Now, again, his campaign obviously epically failed, or, perhaps more accurately, he was forced to resign or stop, and they installed Kamala Harris. But again, that was one moment of cohesive. I think that was one moment where he was cohesive enough to make that decision decisively. But also, who knows? It's one of those things where, I think the autopen is more accurate in terms of like the actions and, lack of actual Biden doing anything. The guy 55 says the autopen, the 46th president of the United States. And you have all those pardons getting 429 likes. LG says not only that, the 47th photo is his mugshot, getting 1,000 likes. Yep. The amount of lawfare against Trump was unprecedented in the United States history. Matthew Nicole says this is why we need an autopen. Someone has a Photoshop where Biden stops, and it looks like he was relieving himself. And in this video, he did with AI, getting 353 likes. This never happened. Orochi Verona says, love him dearly, as Trump behind Hillary Clinton, giving the little rabbit ears, 142 likes. Let's see. L. Ducky Mex says Trump was right about everything, getting 376 likes. Garav has, presidential compilation throughout the years. They have JD Vance meme getting 311 likes. Richard Ebright says, an accurate portrait of the signer of Anthony Fauci's preemptive pardon, getting 8 likes, which is just a close-up of, close-up of Biden's autopen, which, crazy, pretty interesting. All those pardons signed on the last day when Biden wasn't even around the machine. And that's the first time in history for the United States, a preemptive pardon. Yeah. We'll see if anyone is actually held accountable. I'm pretty skeptical. But yeah, hopefully they do something in terms of, actually finding out who's using the auto pen, what's the legality in terms of, again, did Biden actually delegate them to tell them to do that? Or, I mean, is there any proof? But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, Ford with yet another recall. This time, whoops, the trucks might just not steer. Now, this brought to us thanks to Ty Roush, who's a writer at Forbes. And they say, quote, Ford's record-breaking recall year continues. 115,000 trucks pulled over a steering wheel issue. Which, I mean, this would be an issue if the vehicles were to operate and drive. Mostly they don't, but I'm only partially exaggerating. Now they say, quote, Ford issued a recall for more than 115,000 vehicles installed with a steering column that may detach, which auto regulators, it's funny, it's because it's government speak, which auto regulators say could increase the risk of a crash. Duh. And they say, quote, adding to a record-breaking series of safety notifications filed by Ford this year. Which, yeah. Now, they say, quote, Ford recall covers some Ford F-250, F-350, and F-450 models manufactured between February 2019 and September 2020, according to the National Highway Safety Track Administration filing. Ford has issued 115 safety recalls this year, including this notice. The most automaker through a full year ahead of Chrysler at 33, Horse River at 18, and Volkswagen at 20 for recalls this year, according to NHTSA data, which, yes, Ford is winning one competition, though not the competition you necessarily want to be winning. They say the vehicles were installed with a defective steering column, the part that connects the steering wheel to the car's steering system, which may suddenly detach, increasing the risk of a crash. Ford was notified about the defect in June and later determined the steering column failed to meet regulatory standards for amount of force required to pull apart the component. Ford said it was aware of at least 4 customer reports and 7 warranty claims, potentially related to the issue as of September 11th, though the automaker noted it was not aware of any accidents or injuries as of now. Oh, geez Louise. In terms of total recall this year, they've recalled 9.5 million vehicles this year thus far. Again, the year's not even over. Now they say, what should you do? Well, they say 4 dealers were notified of the recall, while affected car owners are expected to be alerted by October 10th, according to the Ford's disclosure. A fix is expected to be ready by December. So, if you have one of these Ford trucks, you'll get a repair in December, which, again, considering a lot of small business owners and large businesses rely on Ford's trucks to operate, not great news to be told you shouldn't be driving your vehicle. It's a safety hazard. And yet they still need to make sales, go out and do service to clients' machinery and their stores. Yeah. It almost boggles my mind how many recalls Ford has. And to have one where literally, hey, you might just not be able to steer. I gotta say, Ford, you once again are the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.